Good morning, beautiful people. It's been a couple days since I've brought a message, so I wanted to make sure to do that today because these messages are as helpful for me as I hope they are for you. It's really important for me that I do these. I have had a hard time kind of moving through the density of the past couple days, couple weeks. And in reflection, I've realized that part of that is because I'm on social media now. And I hadn't been on social media for a year before I started doing these messages. I was still plugged into what was going on, still reading the news every day, but I wasn't really connected to the social media space. And social media has the opportunity to be a space where ideas can be shared and people can be connected and creation can happen, and inspiration can happen and community can form. But it also has the opportunity to be a space where we just unload and we vent and we kind of point out the obvious sometimes, and then having no solution that we're bringing forth to deal with what we're seeing. So I think it's a good place to go if you're in a moment of witnessing where you need to hear other people's stories, help other people carry the burden. But it is a place that, as we're trying to create what comes next, that message can get lost. And I just kind of have seen that happening within me the more and more social media that I've been consuming. I've lost sight of the path that we're trying to create to build whatever comes next. So that being said, I know I'm posting this to social media. I part of my purpose is to infuse that space with more of the other story, the story of love. As we're seeing all this hatred and separation happening, we need to also bring back the story of love and creation that is also trying to unfold. So that's part of my purpose. But if you are at a space like me where social media is affecting your ability to show up, if it's affecting your ability to plug into that love energy effortlessly, and if it's getting you in freeze mode, if it's triggering your fight, flight, freeze kind of automatic reactions, I'm just going to offer you that I'm posting all these messages also to YouTube, and you can check them out there. So my YouTube is at This Is What Love Looks Like. I'll put it in this post somewhere, either in the comment section or in the description. So if you want to avoid social media, you can still get those messages there. I just think it's important to also offer you that avenue. I'm also finding that some of these messages are getting longer and longer, and they're not really meant for the social media space. So I may be posting some of the longer messages there anyway. So with that all being said, let's tap in, get that message that we need from Love Energy today to understand, how do we continue to move forward? How do we continue to bring more of this story of love and connection to the surface, even in this dark and hard time? How do we move past this freeze stage into the creation stage, for anyone else who's experiencing the freeze stage right now? So I'm going to tap right into love energy. This is the energy that I understand to be God, creator, universe. So this is the message that's coming through. You're doing great. And they're talking to all of us. You're doing great. And you keep showing up time after time after time. And even when you need to step back, even when you need to retreat because you're feeling depleted, because you're feeling burdened, because you're feeling a little out of control, because that's what happens when we are bombarded with all of this hatred and density and fear and separation and ego. and confusion. So remember what happens when we're operating from a fear-based state and from a separation-based state. Confusion also starts to set in. This is where doubt comes from, because we can't see things as clearly. Things that we know to be true in our bodies, if we settle and we center into that love energy that is radiating through each of us, that energy tells us that everything's going to be okay. That energy tells us that we are all connected, that we all have a role to play, that we do have power to change and shift things, that we do have a power to create things. When we set with that energy, we understand that we are love incarnated, that we carry the spark of divinity within us. However, when we have all this energy of and messaging of fear and doubt and separation, we get into this place of confusion, because this outside noise is not congruent with this inner knowing. And that is where doubt comes from. Doubt does not necessarily come from within. Doubt comes when the inside knowing and the outside noise are not in alignment. And what we need to remember is that outside noise is coming from this place of fear and separation and ego. So you're all doing great. What Spirit is saying to me is, like, the main message for today is that you're doing great, and Spirit wants us all to be seen. Know that we are being seen and heard and honored from the energy on the other side, right? All of our guides, our teachers, our loved ones that are over there and helping us through this moment in human history as well, are seeing and recognize that we are doing a good job just simply for showing up time after time after time when it gets hard, when it gets scary, when it gets frustrating, when it gets confusing. We keep showing up. So what they're saying is it's okay if some of us are in this retreat mode of starting and then pulling back and gaining our bearings and then moving forward again. That it's perfectly fine, and not to beat ourselves up over it. But what we need to make sure that we're doing when we go into like this retreat mode, because everything is too loud and the noise is drowning out our own inner knowing, is that we have to make sure in those moments of retreat that we're not simply just protecting ourselves. Protecting ourselves is completely acceptable. It is what is needed to happen, because we need to be able to show up and re-engage after we've had this moment of protection. What we also need to do is make sure we're fueling that inner light in those moments of like pulling back. So it's not about completely going numb and completely having like nothing happen during those moments of retreat. It's about fueling that light within us, so that when we are ready to go back out into the dense energy where we can feel that conflict between our inner knowing and the outer noise, that we can stand more firmly in our inner knowing. So they're going to give that message short and sweet. We're doing good work. Pulling back and getting our bearings is not a detriment. It doesn't mean we're retreating. It doesn't mean we're giving up. It doesn't mean that things are going to get worse because we can't show up 24/7. What it does mean, though, is that we do need to make sure that we're not going into reactionary mode. And so that's why we pull in. And then when we do pull in, we need to make sure we're fueling that light so we can step back out into the density with an even clearer vision and more energy to keep moving forward. So yeah, they're going to leave that message right there with love and light. It's really simple and pure today, but it's just really important for us all to know. So I'm going to leave that with you with light and love.